acknowledge that because of changed circumstances with the imposition of the sequester, there is a increased focus on engagement because of the opportunity the circumstances provide. He's trying to make something good out of a bad situation.
Approach of campaigning in America and really being quite confrontational hasn't been working so well, and so I'm hoping that this is a new approach on the part of the president to reach out, to have some dialogue, to see if there's common ground, because we've got some really serious challenges and so much we could accomplish if we can find that common ground.
Now he's going to, after being in office now for 4 years, he's actually going to sit down and talk to members. I think it's a sign, a hopeful sign, and I'm hopeful that something will come out of it. But if the president continues to insist on tax hikes, I don't think we're going to get very far. If the president doesn't believe that we have a spending problem, I don't know if we're going to get very far. But I'm optimistic.
Where is the line, though, Charles, I guess is the question, with where he starts taking a hammering from his own party after their enthusiasm about his inauguration speech and his first strategy of going after Republicans? Now it seems like it's a much different strategy, and does he start to take it on the chin from the left?
I'm not sure that he was responding to his base. He's a second-term president. He's not going to be up for re-election. I think what he did, starting with the election, fiscal cliff and sequester, was for his own sake, for his own presidency and legacy, to try to crush the Republicans, to improve on the victory he had in November by neutering the Republican House, which is the obstacle to him enacting the vision he has of America that he outlined in his inaugural address, neutering it now in these 2 years, and then beating it in the midterm elections, so he'll control all of Congress in the last 2 years. His strategy was to go against them, to make the case that they're coddling the rich. He tried it in the election, it succeeded. He tried it on the fiscal cliff, it succeeded, and it crashed on the sequester. The apocalypse he predicted made him look ridiculous and cynical, and when you close the White House and you keep out these Iowa kids, everybody understands that you're not leading, you're playing games. That's really hurt him in the poll numbers.
The White House is our house. Please let us visit.
The Secret Service, like other agencies of government, is affected by the sequester. And the Secret Service presented options that ranged from canceling tours to potential furloughs and cuts in overtime. The White House made the decision that we would unfortunately have to temporarily suspend these tours. The trade-offs here are never good because of the nature of the cuts and the way that the law is written. If you're given flexibility, your option is to give less money to disabled kids so you can give more money to poor kids, more support to poor kids. It's, this is a similar kind of trade-off, and it's very unfortunate.
But that Carney explanation was truly jumping the shark. He's talking about kids in the White House, and then all of a sudden he ends with throwing orphans in the snow. I mean, we don't really want to, but we have to because Republicans have forced us. I have an idea. If you want to allow kids in the White House and support it with the funds, the president's travel expenses alone for the golfing outing with Tiger Woods would pay for a year of White House visits. So I suggest that perhaps he curtail the travel, or perhaps auction off a set of clubs, and he might be able to allow those Iowa tots to come through the White House.
All right, next.
I'm not cynical enough. I'm trying.
You're trying.
His history as somebody that has been active and engaged in al-Qaeda, has spent some time in Iran, the southern part of Iran, conducting or at least planning operations and doing facilitation for al-Qaeda business.
He's somebody who served core al-Qaeda for more than a decade at least, and he's somebody who's been directly connected to terrorist attacks against Americans.
When it comes to people like this, that we want them to go to Gitmo to be held in military custody for interrogation purposes. So I'm going to follow this case very closely. I think we're now setting a new precedent that will come back to bite us.
Fox News is told that this operative was brought to the U.S. several days ago and has been cooperating with authorities, but he's in New York as of Friday. New York City federal court, and there's a 7-page indictment charging him in federal court. Charles, this obviously creating a bit of an uproar, a lot of uproar, up on Capitol Hill on this.
And it should, because there's a complete incoherence in the way administration is treating these al-Qaeda operatives. If this guy to be in Yemen, you could shoot him with a drone in the middle of the night and you blow him away, like we did al-Awlaki. But now that he's here, magically he gets his Miranda rights, which means we're not going to be able to get information out of him. It's completely insane. Gitmo was invented as a way to have a site under which we could receive information over time. The minute he arrives in New York on trial and he gets lawyered up, we're going to learn nothing. And he has a lot to tell us. There's a myth that Iran and al-Qaeda don't work together because Iran is Shiite, al-Qaeda is Sunni. Obviously, he was harbored in Iran after 9/11 for several years. He knows how it works. He knows about its contacts with al-Qaeda. He could tell us, and we're not going to learn it.
This is the largest cache of intelligence derived from the scene of any single terrorist. It's about the size, the CIA tells us, of a small college library.
And what is that? Staying true to our values as a nation also includes upholding the transparency upon which our democracy depends.
So far, the Obama administration has released just 17 documents and a handful of video clips. I've been told that there are hundreds of thousands of documents and files that were recovered on Osama bin Laden's compound, and quite frankly, 17 documents don't cut it. I think the files probably complicate the Obama administration's overall counterterrorism strategy, and that they show there's a cohesive international terrorist network led by al-Qaeda that operates to this day, and that al-Qaeda really isn't that close to defeat.
17 documents out of hundreds of thousands, Charles.
Look, I don't know what's in them. And I don't know what ought to be released or not. But what I think the administration ought to do is to allow access either by experts or high-level officials in the Congress who, regularly are informed about secret matters that you could trust, so that there would be a larger number of people who have access, and we could have confidence that the right documents are being kept secret, and not documents that would otherwise embarrass this administration.
This has been a Sunfish production.